we have to talk a little bit about Halloween Kills extended cut, because that's right, it's been that long since we did a live stream. The last one was right before the extended cut was released digitally, right before we dropped our interview with Danielle Harris. I hope you checked that out last month. As you know, the extended cut was released digitally in December and physically just a few weeks ago. And I have to take this opportunity to officially thank Universal Pictures. Hopefully you watched our unboxing video, but they were actually cool enough to send us a holiday box that we got right before Christmas, and it was to celebrate the release of the digital release of Halloween Kills extended cut. And in that box, I mean, they actually had a mask, which was amazing. A really great Trick or Treat Studios Halloween Kills mask. A Santa hat, a black and white Santa hat with orange stitching that says Halloween Kills on it. And some other goodies. And you can see them all in the unboxing video elsewhere, but I got a few down here in my office. I know you can't see this real well, but that is a Halloween Kills Michael Myers decal I'm going to be putting on my car. There you can see it a little bit. And they sent us these really cool postcards. You might have seen, I shared some images of these on our Instagram. You know, home for the holidays, and it's got the Myers house, because this was Halloween Kills, and Michael Myers coming home for the holidays, of course. And yeah, I know I said in the video I was going to taste the popcorn, but I'm a sucker for collector's items, and I have not opened the popcorn yet. Maybe at some point I'll do a tasting video or something like that. I don't know, but there you see my Halloween Kills red, white, and black popcorn. So thanks to Universal Studios for sending us that, and for also hooking us up with this beauty right here. That's right. I gotta say, it was super nice coming home recently after we were out of town for just under 3 weeks. And it was great to come home after all that time out of town and have this beauty waiting here for me. I am, again, a collector and a sucker for the physical format. I long live physical formats, DVDs, CDs, vinyl, what have you. So I do appreciate Universal sending us this physical copy. Also, for some reason, my digital copy, when I redeemed it through Movies Anywhere and Vudu, wherever I watch it, I can't pull up the commentary. So it wasn't until I got this and the disc that I could finally actually listen to this great commentary track. And really, that's what this release is all about. It's the bonus features. And because the extended cut, you know, I do want to talk about the differences here just for a minute. But again, why I had to own this, it is the bonus features. It always is the bonus features. And I have to say that this is a little more generous in that department than the 2018 film, which, you know, was a little bit lacking on the bonus features. This does have a little bit more packed into there, you know, some of what you'd expect, what Universal normally does, you know, a lot of featurettes, a lot of stuff you've seen surfaced online on the Universal YouTube channel in recent weeks. There are some deleted scenes, some that are inserted into the extended cut, and I was very pleased to see that there's a few additional scenes inserted in there other than just that extended ending, which we kind of knew what it was going to be. If you were with me last year, you know, we, from the novelization and just from David Gordon Green's comments, we pretty much knew what that added scene was going to be. Now we've seen it. It is a cool scene. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You know, talking about that added scene at the end of the extended cut. Just real quick, I mean, it didn't really change my opinion personally of like, oh, that's the definitive ending of the film. I do agree with their thought of, you know, why they decided to cut the film where they did. It was once they realized they were going to do the time jump 4 years later. That ending makes much more sense on a film that's going to pick up that same night, just a few minutes later. Now that they know they're going to pick up 4 years later, it doesn't make as much sense. And so I understand their logic in cutting it, and I do think it's a little too much of a to be continued for me personally, even if it was going to pick up in the same night. I like just the brutal ending right on Karen's death. And Lori, you still get the idea. She knows what's up. She knows what's going on and what happened without that phone call even happening. That being said, it is a cool scene. I'm definitely glad that we get to see it as it was originally cut. And what I really like, though, are the other scenes that they inserted into the extended cut. There are some fun additional scenes uh, added back in. My favorite, though, is with Lonnie. And this one I really wish they had kind of kept. I kind of understand, again, why they didn't. It was just for pacing. It spends a little too much time on Lonnie during that flashback. But that being said, that part I love. And I definitely, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a fun scene that pays homage to Michael standing behind the bush, the hedge in the 78 film when Laurie sees him and the other girls don't. And so Lonnie has that moment, and I'll show you a still right here from that moment in the extended cut. And we had seen kind of images of this being shot from set photos that came out during the filming of Halloween Kills. We had also seen a little bit of this in the marketing. Some of this scene with Lonnie was featured pretty prominently in the marketing for HK, and then it wasn't in the theatrical cut. So it is kind of cool to see it reinserted back in. But here's what I'm talking about. And again, I'm not going to play the whole scene, but it is a fun, very creepy, very Shape-esque scene. And again, another part of that masterful 1978 flashback sequence that we all love so much. I just love this shot. And I love how the scene continues. It's again, very creepy, very classic Michael. And then what I love is that, we do get that payoff where Michael, or excuse me, when Lonnie gets to the bush and looks, and he's not there, much like in 78. Um, a whole Easter egg of a scene, but I love it. I love that being reinserted for sure. There is another deleted scene in the extended cut that you probably noticed. It's in the hospital, and it's Karen, and she kind of gets a little turned around in the morgue and runs into this creepy guy down in the morgue. It's just kind of a weird, kind of almost just trippy scene, just adding to Karen's grief. Again, not missing a ton there, but I certainly liked seeing it in this extended cut. And then there's that extended. Now there is some extra flashes of gore and blood throughout the extended cut too that I noticed. A few little snippets, but those are like the main new scenes reinserted that I noticed anyway. I might be forgetting something, but there are the extra deleted scenes also included within the bonus content. And among those is the much talked about Nick Castle cameo that was not featured in the theatrical cut, not featured in the extended cut, but we do finally at least get to see Nick behind the mask and that cameo that was filmed. And it was exactly what has been described, what Nick has described in previous interviews with on Sean Clark's channel. And if you didn't know, it is in Sandra, she's flying the drone and it goes in the bathroom. And instead of just hearing the shape knock it out and throw it out, you actually see through the drone POV and you see the shape. And it is, in fact, Nick Castle in those scenes. So again, I do definitely appreciate Universal, Blumhouse, the powers that be for including that here. They said from the beginning that yes, it was deleted, but yes, it'll be included in the bonus features on the eventual home video release. So I definitely appreciate that coming to be. There's another deleted scene of the mob outside the hospital, just kind of doing their chanting and just kind of the chaos out there, and you get a little bit of Laurie's concerned look. What was the other deleted scene? Oh, it's Allison meeting Brackett, which again, I kind of think, as I just saw one of you comment a minute ago, I do agree more Brackett would have been good. And that's really the deleted scenes that are not included in the extended cut that they include in the bonus features. Allison meeting Brackett, which, again, anything with Charles Cyphers, I do agree he was underused in the film. I mean, you could argue that all the legacy actors were underused. I mean, I do think it was, not an afterthought, but I do think that the script was very well along when they realized, oh, you know, these actors are available, and they're willing, and we could actually work them into the script. And you know, I they don't say that in the commentary specifically, but I do think it's pretty evident that part of that is there. So yeah, I mean, they could have worked things a little bit better, but it's just great to see them back. Honestly, in my opinion, I mean, because so many franchises don't do this, although they are more and more now, thanks to, in no small part to Halloween 2018. Uh, tis the season of requels, right? But I do like that Allison and Brackett scene, and I would like to see more Brackett too. And then again, there's the drone scene and the protesters outside the hospital. The gag reel is pretty funny. I always think though when I watch these gag reels and it's like 90 seconds or whatever, 2 minutes of it, I'm like, surely they've got more. Surely there's like hours more of these bloopers that they could share with us. I would like to see it. And there's a lot of the featurettes that, again, you can watch over on Universal's YouTube channel right now. One of the coolest ones is the kill count. And if you didn't know, they count 31 kills. And I think they're probably not counting a few that are not really shown but are insinuated with the firefighters. And of course, that 78 transformations featurette, that's a really good one, specifically about the flashback sequence. But in all the extended cut, it's about 4 minutes longer. And yeah, Lonnie scene is about a minute or so. I think a little over a minute. And the scene with Sandra, Diva Tyler, who we were lucky enough to interview last year. Check it out elsewhere on the channel if you haven't already. That's probably a little over a minute, about a minute and a half. And same with Allison meets, with the morgue, with Karen meeting the weird guy, the old guy down in the morgue. Now, another thing that I know a lot of people are talking about, and we haven't had a chance to talk about, so I just want to talk about it a little bit. It is a fun commentary. I love the featured commentary tracks. I've talked about that on here before. I was disappointed that 2018 didn't have a featured commentary. I'd love to hear David Gordon Green and Dan McBride and Jeff Radley, the writers, talk about the film. I'd still hope we get that at some point. So this is pretty enlightening and pretty entertaining commentary. Jamie Lee Curtis, well known, she hates horror movies, so she constantly can't look at the screen as she does in most of these commentaries. And Judy Greer is about the same. But David Gordon Green does give a few interesting tidbits here and there. More kind of confirming a lot of the stuff that we, as fans kind of knew or surmised going in. But, of course, I know you've all heard that he mentions Halloween Ends just a little bit in the beginning of the commentary, and specifically this radio tower. And everybody's now got theories of the radio tower. I've seen 8 million headlines about the radio tower and how that's going to play into Halloween Ends. This is what we're talking about. If you haven't clicked on any of those, yes, David Gordon Green mentions this radio tower, and I saw all these headlines. Like I said, I only listened to the commentary just a few days ago for the first time, and so I finally kind of heard what the fuss was about with my own ears, and it is pretty notable. Like my initial reaction, and still pretty much my reaction, is I wouldn't put a ton of stock into this. I mean, David Gordon Green, he kind of, he knows he's gonna have fun with the fans and the press a little bit. But it is definitely absolutely worth noting because he does make note of this quite a few times that they went out of their way to digitally add this radio tower into the background of Haddonfield, both in the present day 2018 shots that open the film with Cameron finding Hawkins. You see it there, and as well as in the 1978 flashback sequence where you can see it right here in this shot. And he doesn't say much. He just says that it's got to do with it's going to come into play in Halloween Ends. And again, I didn't think too much of it, and I still don't think a whole lot of it, other than the fact that they did take those extra steps right before the release of this film to make sure it's inserted in there, just to drop that in there. So it does make me a little bit curious. As far as my own, just pure speculation, just pure guessing, I don't know. I think it could be probably something as simple as maybe Lori goes there every day, or maybe just every October, and she uses that radio tower to scan the police scanners, uh, listening for Michael's return. Maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe something big eventually happens there. Maybe that's where she hears where he's at. Who knows? That's just, again, pure speculation. Um, it definitely is curious. It definitely is, worth noting. But that's kind of would be my pure speculation. There were some other fun things in the commentary. I did like hearing him talk about some of the people that we've interviewed and that I've talked to, and kind of reiterate some of the stories that we've heard. It was great hearing him talk about our friend Giselle and how he wrote her role for her, and mentioning that she worked on the 2018 film, the story that she kind of revealed to us. And so that was fun hearing it from his side. What do you think about the extended cut? Is that the cut you're going to watch? I mean, I probably will, in future viewings, that will be the go-to cut. Even though, like I said, in my personal preference, I mean, I like the theatrical ending better. But that's still there. You just get that little bit extra. And it is some really cool Carpenter music and when Jamie's walking down that hallway. Again, though, it's kind of weird that moment, that walk down the hallway, that line, "I'm coming for you, Michael," was used so prominently in the advertising. Meanwhile, it was originally going to be the absolute, final exclamation point on the film. And I don't know. I think that would have been a little spoilery, too, if they had left it in and it had been in there. So I don't know. But I do like the theatrical ending. I think that's more of the Empire Strikes Back, just the dark ending of right there on Karen and Michael in the window. Someone says, "I really wish they'd make a full movie of that 78 time period. Very amazing visual style, acting, writing." Yeah, I mean, they really did capture it really well. And that's another one of the great bonus features included on that extended cut release, is the recreating of 1978 and the recreating of the Myers house. And it really is fascinating. And the attention to detail, I mean, that's one thing that I've enjoyed in these rewatches of the film. Every time I rewatch it, I notice even more stunning detail, especially in the 78 portions, that I really appreciate. And by the way, another thing I love about, both cuts, but I don't think I've said it here or publicly really, but I just want to mention it, is the opening credits sequence. I mean, of course, the Carpenter score at all turns is perfect, but I love the choice of the multiple jack-o'-lanterns, and David Gordon Green mentioned that it kind of is already a clue into the mob mentality that's going to be coming, and I thought that was very smart. I also think it's great that there's 12 of them, if you count. There's exactly 12 of them, and Halloween Kills being the 12th film in the franchise. Also very interesting, I noticed I found it interesting that David Gordon Green reveals that in all the contracts for Halloween Kills, it is officially, legally still called Halloween 12. Again, the 12th film in the franchise, but it is like, legally in the contracts and all that. It is Halloween 12. Very interesting. I guess they're shooting Halloween 13 right now. So lucky number 13. That's going to be Halloween Ends. So again, yeah, let me know what you think on the extended cut, if that's going to be your preferred cut to watch. Um, I love that Lonnie scene for sure, and it's such a fittingly Michael Myers moment too. It's Michael just fucking with somebody, and also being like a ghost, and that is very Michael too. That is at the heart of the shape in the '78 film. Um, which reminds me, and again, I'm not going to go into this, but you know, one thing that I just want to remind people about Halloween Kills, because I've seen some criticisms out there about some things, and every now and then I'll see people say, "Oh, but how did Michael get from here to there after this, and nobody saw him?" Or "How did Michael do this?" Or "How did?" And I just want to remind, and I think you guys, most of you guys watching this on a Monday night at a little bit after 11 p.m. here on the East Coast, I don't think I'm telling you guys anything. I'm pretty much preaching to the choir. If you're here at this point, you know me. We're pretty like-minded. But just in case somebody stumbles on this, it needs the reminder. Um, if you're asking some of those questions, a lot of those questions, most of those questions, so you're kind of missing the point of the shape of Michael Myers. Like how did he appear outside Laurie's window, by the clothesline, and then a second later he disappears, and it's just that's kind of the whole point of him is you don't know how, and if it's explained, well then I mean, you know that's not the shape. That's not the mysterious boogeyman right there. He's got to walk that line of being unexplainable, even though while he seems mostly explainable, it's always got to walk that line. So I've thought about that in rewatches of Halloween Kills too. That because I really do enjoy it. I think it's gonna age well. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a fan favorite for a while now. That said, I mean, it's not perfect. There are issues, as I said after my first viewing and in my initial review of it. I really wish that Tommy had a better. I saw somebody comment that they were wondering, or somebody said that Tommy ruined the movie. I don't think that, but I think there was such build up to Tommy's showdown with Michael, and that being not really getting the payoff that we were promised with that. There were a lot of things that happened in the movie that I didn't see coming in the marketing, in the film. The whole mistaken identity stuff. I didn't see any of that coming. I thought it was great, but I definitely think that, like I said, a little more showdown time with Michael, and I understand that they ran out of that. David Gordon Green talks about that in the commentary too. That when they're filming that mob fight, they did run out of night is what they ran. The sun came up, and that's why portions of it is shot on sound stages at Screen Gem Studios in Wilmington. And he talks about that. You can see it in the film. It's when there's no longer houses behind them and it goes black. That's when they were on the stage, and that's Tommy's big demise and everything. And so I think that was part of why some of that had to be cut down from what they probably were originally intending. I mean, we still get what happened. It still happens, and Michael still gets that bat, and we get that blood splatter, and it is glorious. But a few more scenes of that, I think were warranted, and the one other death, I know a lot of people wanted to see more of Marion. Of course, I'd love to see more of Marion, and to hear Chris Nelson, the great Christopher Nelson, talk about and actually show us on his Instagram, some of what they had devised for her original death. Yes, I do think that would have been better, if not far more disturbing, But I do kind of like, again, in rewatches, that it is so early and just uh, because she is such an iconic character in this franchise and is just dispensed with like nothing, like so quick, because that's this Michael. I've said before, this Michael is ultimate Michael Myers. The other death scene I think I was going to mention uh, is Lonnie's, because again, I enjoy the what they did with young Lonnie. I understand why they did it. They wanted to, incorporate the legacy characters, but they also wanted to expand on the 78. So here's a character who is a legacy character that they can expand on and kind of delve into a little bit more. I get all the reasoning for that. I think it works well. I like uh, again that hedge scene. I think that's really effective and creepy, and really enjoyed it. And I do like the irony that Lonnie and David Gordon Green talks about this in the commentary, that Lonnie is the bully earlier that day, bullying Tommy, and then that night he's the one getting bullied in much the same way, and then how they turn out many years later. And in the novel, and we'll talk about that another time, but the novel goes much more into what they've been up to in the 40 years since. But Lonnie's death, I feel like we were kind of cheated out of what should have been a monumental moment um, for this legacy character. Robert Longstreet, I thought he did a really great job. Not a lot of screen time, not a lot to do in the film, but what screen time he's given, I thought he and Dylan as Cameron, had good chemistry. I enjoyed all that. And I get that he wanted to go into the house by himself, and it was kind of the callback to, get your ass away from there. Like, I get that. And that's kind of what they were going for. But I do kind of feel like we as viewers and fans were kind of cheated out of what should have been a really emotional legacy death. And we don't really get that. So those two things I'd probably change, but you tell me what you guys think. So that is Halloween Kills. Like I said, extended cut, as you know, is out now. And again, another thing about this outer slip cover here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got the cool raised art on there, the embossed. Can you see that? How Michael is like raised onto the cardboard. It's pretty awesome. Um, but yeah, if you're like me, you got to own the physical media, and you got to own every edition, and so that's a must own.